The 2020 season is soon upon us, and that can only mean one thing. We're going to ride some new roller coasters, and one thing that seems to have been missed and a lot of speculation for the coming year is, hey, what's going on in Canada? Well, last year we had Yukon Striker open, so the spotlight in the coaster world had shifted somewhat to Canada because of that announcement, and it was an exciting time, but unfortunately, Wonderland can't open coasters every year. And it being the biggest park in the country, when they make an announcement on a roller coaster, it pretty much dominates the local scene. Local being geographically the entire country, which is massive. But besides that, there are in fact 2 coasters opening up in Canada, and no one's really talking about them. Now, admittedly, they're not the most exciting that are in the slate for the 2020 season, but needless to say, this country needs a bit of love. We don't get much to brag about, and 2 opening up in the same year is a significant event. So what are these coasters? The first is pretty well known, and it is now called Viper. It is a relocated Intamin amusement ride's Zack Spin 32-meter design. It has been around for quite some time. In fact, it existed previously at Six Flags Magic Mountain as Green Lantern First Flight. Now, this ride is not exactly known for giving a very smooth ride, and is part of the reason why it is being removed from Magic Mountain. That being said, it is a perfect addition to La Ronde, which is in desperate need of a good coaster because they haven't had a new one open since 2010, and that was Ednor L'Attaque, which in fact is another relocated inverted coaster by Vekoma SLC model that really is nothing to brag about whatsoever. This coaster, however, does have some bragging rights. It is the first wing coaster to debut in Canada. So that is something that this park can take away from Canada's Wonderland. They've beat them to the punch, at least in this particular style of model. Now, there are many wing coasters out there now, but they still have that bragging right. That also leads to the fact that this coaster has had a bit of investment put into it, or at least it is rumored that it has had some refabrication of the track. That means it will have a smoother ride and leave riders with a more pleasing experience. After all, this is supposed to be a new coaster to the local market. They're not going to know that this model had a previous life at another park. And if they manage to smooth the ride out somewhat, it may end up being a quite strong addition to a park that needs a little bit of a boost to get the numbers up in the recent years. Now, this is a park that doesn't do well with coasters, at least from a legacy standpoint, and losing Cobra, one of their original only thrill models, an Intamin stand-up coaster, and one of the only still existing in the world at the time that it was still operating, and unfortunately is no longer. Now, they've lost another coaster from Vekoma in La Superménage, which at the end of the day is not a huge loss. The corkscrew model that had long worn out its welcome at the time when it opened 40 years prior, it was a major addition. It's not going to be lost now. So welcome, Viper. I'm sure it's going to do well for the park for the upcoming season. The second coaster that is opening in Canada this year has gone completely under the radar for most people. It is the Franken Coaster, opening on top of the House of Frankenstein in Niagara Falls, Canada, on Clifton Hill. Now, this coaster had a previous life just down the road in New York State at Sports Plus and Entertainment Center in Long Island as the Thriller Coaster. The Thriller Coaster was a 700-meter Wisdom Rides family coaster that was enclosed. It didn't, from pictures that are available, didn't leave that much of a thrill element to it. However, the location of the Franken Coaster on top of the iconic House of Frankenstein on Clifton Hill's summit is going to be something to behold. Currently, it sits ready for operation this spring, and this particular channel plans to be there on opening day, as this was a unique addition to the area that is well needed. And it also is a roller coaster in a midway atmosphere that has long needed one since the closure of Maple Leaf Village many years ago. The Franken Coaster is going to be free with admission to the House of Frankenstein. which at currently a $12.95 entrance fee, if it is still going to remain that same price, this 2-for-1 haunted house and roller coaster admission is going to probably be the best value at Clifton Hill. So there will be no surprise if the numbers at this attraction significantly increase when it's introduced this coming spring. We look forward to the Franken coaster dominating the Clifton Hills skyline for many, many years to come. Sadly, that sums up the roller coaster editions for 2020 in Canada this coming year. But that being said, it is very rare that 2 roller coasters open simultaneously in the same year in this country. We look forward to welcoming new credits and experiences to Canada and look forward to sharing those experiences here at the channel. Remember to subscribe, like, and share this video if you like what you've heard and seen. Thanks everyone, enjoy the ride.